Welcome to BCGhosttowns.com. My name is John Mitchell, and today we're going to do the story of murder on the steamer Okanagan. You know, what's in a grave? Sometimes it's just a name, a date, but people live entire lives, and unfortunately a headstone just never really tells you about a human life. I'd like to talk about Jeffrey Aston. He started off in England as a lancer, horseman, and he then came to Canada and became a Northwest mounted policeman on the prairie. He had a distinguished career there. He came to British Columbia and was transferred to Penticton. He wasn't here long, but he established himself in the community and the affairs, and people liked him. He had excellent horse sense, and he had a beautiful black horse which he was inseparable from. On March 16th, 1912, there was a robbery in Kelowna. It was at gunpoint. Robber got away with very little cash, but he got away. Word went out to the rest of the constables in the area, Constable Ashton being one of them here in Penticton. He went around to the hotels and gave them the description of James. It was 2 days when one of those reports came in. The desk man at the BC Hotel recognized the man from Constable Ashton's description and managed not to alert the bandit, and quickly slipped out the back and got both Constable Aston and the local police constable Roche. Together they went back to the BC Hotel, and in the lobby they came in guns drawn and quickly apprehended James. What he had on him was a loaded .44 in his holster, and that was quickly taken away by Constable Roche. It was late at night they decided to put James on to the SS Okanagan sternwheeler here in Penticton. When James was arrested, he was also arrested with another gentleman. Turned out later he wasn't involved, but they thought that he might have been an accomplice, so he too was arrested. They held them here in the Penticton jail, and late at night they put them both, with Constable Aston, onto the SS Okanagan for a trip back to Kelowna to be further investigated. On the trip there, James asked for a glass of water. Constable Aston went to the desk, to the table, grabbed a glass of water, and was bringing it back to James to be drank. James, quite clumsily, hits the glass out of Constable Aston's hand with his handcuffs. Constable Aston then makes a fateful decision. It seems only good common sense to undo the man's handcuffs so he can drink a glass of water. This was part of James' plan. When he turned to get the glass of water, James reached down under his arm and pulled out a .22 revolver. When Aston turned around, he was face to face with James holding this .22 revolver to his head. But he doesn't shriek from his duty. He's thinking all the time. He says, well, you want the glass of water? And he starts moving forward to James with the glass of water. When he gets close enough, he makes a lunge. Unfortunately, the first shot from the .22 actually fails. It just goes click. But he still has enough time to recock it, and the next one actually does fire. Where it hits Constable Aston is right in the temple, and he goes down. At that point, James and his bunk partner jump out and rifle through the officer's pocket, looking for the keys for the handcuffs. They also pick up his revolver and some extra shells. By this time, the boat is reaching its first port of call, its first stop, and that's at Peachland. Not far, obviously, from Penticton. And they speared off the boat, seemingly unnoticed, except for the purser, who notices two men leaving the boat. He goes back to his register because he didn't remember seeing anybody going to leave the boat. So they go back to the cabin of Constable Aston's, and they have to break the door in. There they find Constable Aston in a pool of blood, semi-conscious, drifting in and out, but certainly not responsive. The manhunt ensues. Constable Aston is mortally wounded. Captain George Estabrooks steams full steam ahead and tries to get the wounded constable to the Kelowna Hospital, where they have the best facilities to treat his wounds. Unfortunately, to the best of their knowledge at the time, surgery on the brain was pretty well unheard of in these pioneer places, and unfortunately Constable Aston dies 10 days later. He is brought back as a hero to Penticton. His body comes down the street draped in a flag, which is the Union Jack, followed by Boer War veterans. He's given a hero's burial here in this lovely little pioneer cemetery, St. Saviour's Cemetery here in Penticton. Unfortunately, again, a headstone doesn't say much about a person's life. This man was a hero, a Northwest Mounted Policeman on the Prairie, BCPP, which is British Columbia Provincial Policeman. Unfortunately, he wasn't the first officer to die in the line of duty, nor was he the last. This is his grave, and it is a fitting memorial to a hero. The manhunt ensues. Word spreads up and down the valley. Everyone knows about the death of poor Constable Aston, and everybody wants to help. It turns out a rancher just a little ways away has seen two men which answer the description. What he does is he ducks in behind some bushes, and the other gentleman ducks in behind a tree on the road. They wait for the two suspects to pass. As they pass, they step out behind them, tell them to raise their hands. Both of these good guys have got their rifles leveled at these two perpetrators. Turns out James is really arrested without a shot fired, and he's rushed back the SS Okanagan to be sent to Kelowna for trial. George Estabrooks, the captain of the SS Okanagan, has absolutely no respect for this murdering duo, and he has James chained to the front post of the boat in the open weather. He makes it back to a crowd hissing lynching threats when he gets to Kelowna. The BC police, in their ever professional way, take charge of the prisoner and ensure his safety and he is put in the jail Kelowna to later stand trial in Kamloops. August 9th, 1912. James is duly convicted of the murder of Constable Aston and the robbery in Kelowna. He is hung in the Kamloops jail courtyard, and his resting place, because one doesn't bury convicted murderers in hollowed ground, James's resting place is under the home plate in their baseball diamond of the Kamloops jail.